This is my 2013 Z06 Corvette, and unfortunately for me, it was made in one of the worst colors ever, Velocity Yellow. But by the end of today's video, and thanks to some help from a professional vinyl wrapper we brought out to the shop to give us a lesson, Smokey is gonna have an entirely new look. When I first bought Smokey, my wrecked Z06 Corvette that is soon to be 1,000 horsepower, I knew one thing for sure, and that was that we needed to change the color. But after trying to wrap the car ourselves and miserably failing, it was pretty clear I was not going to be able to do this without some help. So after making some phone calls to some local shops, my man Nick from Equipped Graphics Solutions in Toledo, Ohio, decided to come out and give us a hand.
Our wrapping expert is here. Man, we desperately need the help. What's up, man?
Yeah, good.
You don't know how badly we need you here. You're Nick, I'm guessing.
Yes, sir.
That's right. Yeah, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet
This
you
is Banks.
How you doing?
Cameraman.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
We got a couple other of the crew in here. We're all trying to take a lesson today and learn as much as we can.
All right.
In hopes that we don't have to call you back again.
Right?
But
fair enough, man. I get it.
Nick has over 7 years of experience wrapping cars, and let me just say that what he taught us was far greater than any video I watched online.
it's been a lot harder than we thought it would be.
Yeah, this is definitely not like a beginner car. So.
What's the first car you ever wrapped? What'd you start with?
I'm not sure. It's been 7 years or so, but we do a lot of like commercial, like transits and things like that.
Gotcha.
The more complex curvature you have, typically the more problems you run into.
I'm terrified of this bumper.
Right?
Terrified. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of curves in that, and you're going to want to do some inlays and stuff too. So, do you have any like cut tape or anything like that at all, or? Just rocking squeegee and a knife, basically.
Yeah, we have an X-Acto knife. We have the probably worst squeegee you can buy.
Where'd you guys get your stuff at?
Amazon.
It's not fantastic.
Well, you should see what we started with before that. This is kind of a little recap of where we started trying to do this on our own. This is our color right here. We're gonna be wrapping it this matte metal gray looking color. I think it's gonna be so cool. There's one issue. They didn't have like some plastic squeegee type things that we needed. So should I show them what we got instead? This is our squeegee. So I mean, this isn't even a joke. We genuinely started trying to wrap with a spatula. It was scratched, pretty bad.
Yeah, I got you. Oh yeah, just slap around with the hand. Perfect.
You can see how that was going.
Yeah.
So that's why you're here.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. A couple things. One is we use this stuff called Primer 94. It's an adhesion promoter.
Okay.
And you'll usually put that on in areas you're going to stretch into. It's a little can. I think it's like 26 bucks, and all you'll do is take a paintbrush. But when you're doing it, you got to be careful. If bristles come off, you want to pick them off. Yeah. You'll rub a little bit on, wait about 10 minutes, and what that'll do is that'll really help lock the stickiness in. So kind of on the edges and places you're going to stretch into, like here, I'd be putting stuff like that. Actually, what I'd recommend is getting some of that primer, because I'm confident I could get it on here and get it to stay for the most part, but if you're going to be driving this out and get watering up on it and everything, I would almost put some primer in here. If you want though, I can show you like the basic techniques and all that
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the techniques is what we need to know. We just need to be able to do it. You know what I mean? Because we suck.
In the wrap world, there are different degrees. I mean, you got your commercial wraps, which is less intricate. You're not going as deep. You know, the price point's different. Like if someone comes in and they got a van, they want a commercial wrap, it'll cost a couple thousand less than a color change wrap or a Cali color change. Which, yeah, because you guys are getting all the, the hood off and everything, and you can get down in there and you can wrap that if you want. But if you're not concerned with that, you could kill it.
Our theme we're going with is like, that's our sheet right there. We have that gray color. The whole inside of the car still has like yellow stitching and everything. So we're gonna do like yellow calipers, yellow emblems. And
okay, perfect.
We can just keep that.
The
end of the world, you know.
So I use these 3M gold squeegees, and it's got these removable buffers on, but you can feel it's a lot.
Yeah, ours is like
a lot sturdier. It's a lot more give to it.
Okay.
Things like that. So it'll help you kind of contour around the curves a little bit more than that.
Okay.
And then I do have also kind of sharper edge squeegees for getting the fine little fingers out. This is your material, right? Yeah, 2080 is nice stuff.
And we should have started with some cheaper stuff and failed a few times with that.
How much did you get when you ordered it?
I like did the math for whatever the surface area, square footage of the car was, and ordered like a little bit extra. So I know we're gonna need more than what's there.
Right. Plus, one thing I'll say is this stuff is directional. You see those arrows on there? Some more than others, but if you were to say put a panel on with the arrow pointing sideways on one part of the car and then the arrows are pointing up on the other side, the light will reflect differently off of it. And so it won't.
What way did we put it on in the hood?
No idea.
we might like take the car out in the light and the hood looks a completely different color.
If I'm on one side of the car, you know, and I cut a piece with the arrows pointing to the right or left, either way, I'm not going to cut a piece next to it that's pointing up.
The way that they were deciding to put it on was whether the width fit the piece or not.
Once again, I don't think it's the end of the world. This isn't a color flip. There's some colors that, you know, they look purple from this angle, blue from this angle. Those are the ones that really matters. So this stuff here, this cut tape, comes in handy if you're ever needing to make really fine cuts and you don't want to cut on your car. Lay it down. It's got a string down in the middle there. And this green part's called the carrier. And this can come in handy, like you're probably going to want to do some inlays and things like that. You're not going to be able to stretch one piece into that.
Okay.
So you'll want to use your cut tape to actually create your strings. Once again, you can get this, I believe, on Amazon as well.
Oh my gosh.
That way you're not, you know, knifing your paint up, things like that. And so say I make my cut and I like it, and then you can take another piece of cut tape. And you can pull the carrier out, and then you can create seams without actually cutting anything by hand. So this stuff is definitely kind of a must. This stuff and then the primer 94. So I'd be putting the primer like on the edges of things.
Like that just helps it hold better so we can pull on it a little more?
Yeah, it helps it hold, and then anywhere you're gonna stretch in and push in, it'll help it hold. I have enough experience that I can get it to stay on this fender without it, so that'll be fine. But I would maybe go along the bottom of the car, and it'll just kind of help lock it in for years as the dirt's kicking up and stuff. If you're gonna take it off, you think anytime soon, I wouldn't be slacking it on because it'll rip the adhesive off when you go to remove the graphic, and then you'll have to wrap your remover and scrape it all off. You say you're using heat guns, right?
Do you prefer a blowtorch?
I prefer a torch for speed, but for beginners, it's probably better for a heat gun just because.
You can see I already burnt a hole in it the first thing.
This will absolutely annihilate material. So this is definitely increases the likelihood of things getting burned, but I do like them for speed.
Usually you want what, like a few inches?
A few inches of slack on the other side there, yeah.
It's just like nice watching you do it every part because we were just making everything way more complicated than it needs to be. Like genuinely, like thank you for coming up.
Now I got the arrows pointing side to side.
Okay, we'll keep that noted.
How do you know which way you want the arrows? Just so you have everything else that direction?
Yeah, so since I cut it with the arrows sideways here, I would also just kind of continue anything that's gonna be right next to each other. I mean, you could do one side of the car with the arrows pointed up and the other side with them sideways, but I wouldn't be alternating parts that are touching each other.
The arrows on the hood, then we would hope are pointing forward.
What I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of tacking it to get it so. Okay. And now I'm just going to kind of cut it down a little bit. You got all this. Once again, you know, I don't need to do about here, but it's a 60-inch roll. So always when you're doing this kind of stuff, obviously you want to make sure you're not knifing the car and things like that.
I just feel like we're so dumb after like just watching you start this. There's like so many simple little tricks. We're gonna finish wrapping it and it's gonna have one really good looking fender and everything else is gonna look awful.
Now before I peel it, I'm just gonna tell you like squeegee technique. So essentially what you're doing is you're taking kind of a loose piece. You want to start by getting it as tight as you possibly can, but it's still got slack throughout. Right. You're moving the slack, you're getting the slack out of the piece. So that being said, you'll never want to start on the outsides and move it all inward because you're just pushing problems to the middle. Air and slack. Okay. And then I wouldn't start on this side. If I start on this side and I'm traveling this way, I have to move all this slack, and by the time I get here, you just have a mess. Say I was doing this door, I usually will cut things in half. So my first stroke after I get it all tight and put down, just go right down the middle, and then I work this half this way, and this half this way. And I'm going side to side, kind of spreading it out because you don't want to concentrate any of the problems in one area and any of the slack into one area there.
So the pressing on with the hands thing was not...
Yeah, as soon as you did that, I was like, oops. Oh well.
This step is where most of our problems start, right here. Yeah. That's part I've kind of struggled with understanding is when you pull on it, it puts those creases in it where your thumbs are.
Right.
So, like, what's the best way to avoid like that? Or do you just have to work it out after you pull it tight?
You work it out after you start to pull it tight, but the heat really tightens stuff up. So, like all that. And also, you'll learn. You can get a feel for it. You can use the heat to like push things certain ways. Okay. What I I do before I even touch the squeegee to the car is I get it kind of as glassed out as possible, as tight as possible. Once you got on something curvy like this, you're only going to be able to get it so tight to begin with. If you do have to use a torch, the main thing, you can touch the flame to it. You want to be real quick about it, otherwise you kind of keep it back. No, heat gun is better, especially if you're doing color changes and stuff, because it's a lot more controlled. But we have to be pretty quick with some of the stuff we do, and so they want us to. I'm sure. Now, before I get over to this part, I'm just going to make sure that this is kind of I'm keeping it up off the car, because if it's on the car and you do that, those wrinkles aren't going to go anywhere. Okay. Keeping that off the car. And I still got some heat to it. Taking my hands and these wrinkles here, I'm pulling in 3 directions. I'm pulling that way, I'm pulling that way, and then while I'm doing that, I'm also going to take it that way. And you can kind of shimmy it. Shim, 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 shim. You can shimmy some of that shit out of there. Another thing that I use, this one's a little dirty, but this helps you kind of, you know, when you want to apply with your hand, you can use the. And another thing with squeegee technique, this is called dragging, where you're bringing it back, and plowing is where you're pushing it forward. This is dragging in both directions. This is plowing in both directions. You can use either one, but plowing is a lot easier to kind of see what you got going on unless you're kind of used to what you're doing. Squeegee technique is important too. You want to basically be traveling kind of in a couple inch overlap so that you're kind of double tapping the spots a little bit. Because the way this stuff works is it's got microscopic little glue posts all over it. And those glue posts get flattened out by pressure. Okay. And that starts the reaction of it adhering. And then when you're done, you can kind of go over everything with a torch and really lock it in. Okay. So right here, once again, I wouldn't start here and move all this down, and I'm not gonna start here and move all this up. I'm just gonna start kind of somewhere.
And you're always wanting to keep your squeegee like a little bit at an angle, right? Like, yes. So you're pushing the air.
The air is moving, I'm going sideways, but the air is going down, down, down. You don't ever want to I wouldn't want to be pushing the air back up into where I'm going. Okay. So squeegee technique is really important there. Also tension. Vinyl likes tension. The more taut it is, the less likely you're gonna get a wrinkle or whatever. So here's the palm. Here's one of the areas. Probably want to primer it. And see, once again, like you can kind of see how loose it is, and when I pull on it, there's the potential for wrinkling there, but when I just takes that right out of there. And then another thing, so that you can check if your squeegee missed or whatever, is post heating. If I missed anywhere, heat will cause it to flutter a little bit. If there's a bubble or something like that, cause it to kind of flutter. And when I warm it up to push it into areas, I'm getting it just warm enough to soften it a little bit, but if you get it super, super hot and you go to do that, it'll rip or it'll drag. It'll start to kind of like wrinkle up on you a little bit there.
I feel like we weren't using the heat gun enough.
I think we got nervous after that whole.
Yeah, we would just kind of wait till we had an issue and then pull out the heat gun and be like, let's try to get this bubble out.
Oh, I use the heat constantly. And another thing you're going to want to keep in mind is you don't want to stretch to the edge. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to sit there and heat it and then just stretch the hell out of it, because what happens is now it's like a taut rubber band. It's got all that energy there still, and it's going to want to boing, bounce back on you. So you can stretch down, pull on it and stretch down to where you want to be. And then what I would do before you make your final cut, kind of get it up in the air a little bit. Hit it with heat, and that'll just relax it and take all that stretch out. That way your edge has no stretch on it. You can have stretch on flats all day. It's not going to hurt you, but if you put that taut rubber band there, it's just going to want to...
Yeah, we were definitely doing that. We were pulling as hard as we could around every edge.
As far as cutting and things like that goes, oh yeah, what kind of knives are you guys?
We just have exactly.
I mean,
we can upgrade.
No, that's okay. It's better than the big,
like box
fat,
cutter,
like box cutters. Yeah, you don't want that, but you're gonna want something like this with a 30-degree blade on it. Okay. Because these blades, you'd be surprised. You're like, it's vinyl, but they will get dull very quickly. Well, these are snappable blades.
Where it just snaps it.
Yep. Yeah. And you got a nice fresh corner there. When you're doing your cuts, it depends on how involved you want the wrap to be. So I could either cut on this side and tuck that like way over here and tuck that all the way back around it, or if I'm just doing a quick commercial wrap, I can cut right on this, but I'll angle my knife out sideways a little bit. And then from the edge, you'll kind of see the yellow and things like that. It all depends on how you want to execute that.
We've already learned more than you know.
Yeah, it's no problem. I do all the training and stuff at our shop.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah.
That's perfect. Then.
Yeah.
Maybe you could give us a job.
And if you do heat an area up, once again, give it a second to cool, just a couple seconds before you put your squeegee. Because if you just heat it and then squeegee it, it'll kind of pinch it up.
Gotcha.
So you don't want that. And then this has air egress in it, like little microscopic holes to let air out, so you can just push them out. See, there's a little bubble right there. You can Because it's so big and bulbous, I almost want to heat it up and then stretch it and bring it around. When you're moving stuff, you're going to be getting fingers, but you're going to create fingers and then move them, and create fingers and then move them. Kind of get it out of your way there. Put a little bit of a stretch on it when I was pulling on it, that way it kind of bounces back. I can use that to my advantage when I'm shimmying it over. But once you put a stretch on it, you can kind of see that the wrinkles disappear even faster because the material is kind of stretched out, and then you hit it with heat and it shrinks in a little bit. You get it to kind of shrink strategically, and then you can use things like a cutout for the hole to your advantage too. Like once you get kind of close to where you want to be, start making some cuts, that way you can kind of separate areas. Now instead of grabbing all this for that, now I'm kind of getting a little bit closer to where I want to go. And then you'll notice also, even with the buffers, it's gonna leave teeny little scratches.
So that's normal, or
That is normal, and you can post heat it, and that'll usually take it out, and if not, let it sit out in the sun for like a day.
Wow.
I mean, the vinyl's pretty good as far as being like self-healing stuff goes.
Yeah.
So.
Is there a reason why you started on the curve?
You started here.
Is there a
For
reason?
applying it?
Yeah.
Yes, because it was the highest point. So rather than moving slack up to the high point and then up over, I got this right here and I kind of cut it in half so that I can take some of it this way, some of it that way. Okay. Because that slack will really, it's going to go somewhere. Wherever you push it, you know, say I'm pushing all this up here. By the time I get here, I'm just going to have a lot of a mess. Okay. So the more kind of evenly you can go back and forth, the better off you're going to be there.
All those YouTube videos teach you nothing. Those guys, like half of them we watch for like 2 minutes, and they're like, if you really want to know how to rap, buy my online course.
Yeah, of course we do.
Dude, I'm just trying to wrap my car. I'm not trying to like become a millionaire.
The best way you could do it is like, I mean, once you get the basics, you know, squeegee technique, things like that is just repetition. I had no experience at all when I came down and got the job where I'm at now. It was all on the job training. They just kept throwing different things at me. Lots of practicing, lots of trial and error, lots of sticking stuff with your hand in the middle, you know?
Yeah. So I know like we're gonna watch all this. It's gonna be like, man, you made it look easy. We're gonna try to do it. You still struggle, but I think we are gonna be a lot better off than what we were before. Right?
I'll show you how to get all this laid and everything, and then I can kind of go over like the bumper and some other areas, at least give you tips on that too, so you're not just flying blind, because the way you set the bumper up is very important. Like setup is everything on those bumpers. Once I kind of get going, I'll look and I'll say, okay, this is a giant piece of excess hanging because the point's right there. I don't need all this anymore. The reason I waited until this point was I wasn't sure how far I was going to take it as I'm stretching it, so I'm like, all right, this is where it's going to go. Now I can afford to get rid of some of this stuff hanging out. You don't want to cut it right to your edge because once again, you're pushing slack, so I pushed all that slack out into this, and now all the slack's here, and it's gonna get cut right off. It honestly took me probably 6 months before I was like comfortable doing the whole car by myself in the production setting, because they expect us to be quick. You know?
Absolutely. Not only that, but we talked about it a little bit. Like our hood, we think we did a really good job on it, but there's like one little tiny air bubble in one area. And we're like, man, I mean, we couldn't accept this if like we were wrapping somebody else's car. We'd have to, you know, like either take it off and redo it or somehow work it out.
Is it still there, the bubble?
I think the bubble should still be there unless it went away. There's this one here.
Wrinkle.
There's something somewhere else.
That's it. It's a little pinch wrinkle almost. I don't think that'll come out. A lot of these small little imperfections like that, the sun will help kind of minimize them as time goes. This doesn't look bad though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you think?
Pretty good.
Yeah, that doesn't look bad at all. How long did that take you guys to do?
Well, it took 2 attempts. I don't know, maybe 45 minutes to an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
We're learning a bunch over here, dude. Yeah. You should ask him how many times we've tried to wrap this thing. I think, at least 3 we've tried to do this one fender.
Yeah.
Looks good, man.
That was it, not us. Of course it was. This is like a lesson right now. We also found out this vinyl is directional. So like the way the light hits it is gonna look a certain way. So it has arrows on the back of it. So
really?
We don't know what way we did the hood. So the light could hit it and the hood could like, you get what I mean? Like look like a different color.
Yeah. One thing to mention too, when you do start using primer, still pick it up off the primer. You can't just do that because it could actually rip onto the primer. So you'll kind of want to pick it up a little bit more carefully, and then I would try not to pick it up off the primer too much because it can remove the adhesive a little bit. So I know you said you don't care that much about the paint job, but let's say this is a $150,000 car, you could lay cut tape along the whole inside of that green stuff I showed you. When I went down to 3M and tested down there, they had us wrap the side of a whole side of the Camaro. We had 2 hours to do it, and we weren't allowed to use a knife. So I had to use green tape. You can get that, pull your tape and you got a nice edge, or put the blade on there, but don't actually push it all, and just let the weight of the knife kind of do the cutting, and that'll make your cut for you. But you want to be real careful, that way you're not gouging into the paint at all. You might end up having to use inlays. Like, you can only use one piece of vinyl to do so much. Right. Especially say on the back here, when you go to wrap this, you're probably going to want to like run cut tape right along here, put a piece of material in there, hide the seam up here, and then, you know, cover the face of this with a piece. Once this piece is up like this, you can cut a little hole in it. You can kind of work it back, but that's a lot of stretch to put on the material. They're called inlays.
Okay, it's okay to do that. That's like not a lot. I thought everything had to be one solid piece.
Ooh, that's impossible.
Okay, I was gonna say, that's why I was, like with that front bumper, I was literally like, how?
Depending on the complexity of it and the complexity of the curves and things like that, there's some things that's just impossible because it's not paint. What you wouldn't want to do is you wouldn't want to, you know, lay a piece and then put another piece over it and then just sit there and hand cut your seam, and you're cutting through both, because if you cut through both layers, you'll see the car paint coming through and it looks terrible. So just using the cut tape like that, making really tight, clean seams.
You kind of just try to hide them the best you can in areas where you won't see them. Okay.
Strategically, so you want to either put it where the eyes are not going necessarily, or body lines are your friend. Let's say for some reason I had to make a seam on this bumper, I'm not going to make it here, I'm going to make it here. Well, now because that plastic thing, it does come out so far, when I cut this and drop it back, you probably will see just the yellow where the plugs go.
I didn't even think about that. With the little bit of yellow we had showing, once that vent would have been in there, you probably wouldn't have seen it.
It might have covered
honestly,
it.
Yeah.
But because of the fact that you have to cut here, if it does fall short, that's once again where you put like a tasteful inlay in there.
What would a car like this cost to wrap? I mean, what, like $3 to $5 grand? Like
yourself or like at a shop?
Like at a shop.
Like at my shop, probably 5 or 6. Yeah, we charge $125 an hour for labor there. If you can start doing it yourself, definitely the way to go. You're gonna want a piece that's taller than this when you guys actually do the bumper, but for what I'm demonstrating, this should probably be fine. Get it tacked kind of in the center. Don't worry about the sides yet. Get it tacked in the center, and then this is where having people help you comes into play. If I don't have anyone around to help me, I'll use a ruler for this. I'd attach a ruler to the side. The ruler holds this whole thing like taut like this, and I can hang onto the ruler with my hand as I do it. So you get the whole thing kind of warmed up. Bring it around like that. And then once again, these little fingers or whatever, because I put a pre-stretch on it, it's got a bit of a stretch to it, it's gonna be a lot easier to just kind of smooth out. And you just kind of shimmy it. That got me, you know, around this bit of curvature here. If you start squeegeeing stuff down, I wouldn't start up here and come down. I wouldn't start up here and go up. Right here, kind of the high point. Right here, I'm gonna do the same thing I did here. And I just keep, you're pulling up with the top, down with the bottom, and this way. And it's stretching that around the substrate. So let's say, pretend all that's down and I'm locked into this point. Pull off the car. I'm not stretching the holy hell out of it. I'm just stretching it enough to keep it kind of taut. Moving those fingers around and shimmying it around a little bit. But when you go over here, it's got the pre-stretch on it. Really smooth out on you. And once again, I worked to this point, pretend all this is laid. Now I got this down and I work out, you know, to this point, blah, 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 blah. So I cut the bumper in half this way and I'm moving this way, but then as I'm applying, I'm also cutting it in half horizontally as well. So it's cut in half vertically, moving this way, move up, move down, come over a little bit, move up, move down.
I definitely think our biggest problems was neglecting using the heat gun for sure. Like only using it when we had a bubble and trying to, I mean, I don't even know if we really knew what the heat gun was for exactly. We didn't. It's just like strategy other than that. And like how Squeegee, we didn't use our hands at all using the gloves. Like we didn't use any of that. We just tried to do everything with a Squeegee. So another question that Max had was he was wondering if we could wrap the engine block.
Man, I've had people ask me stuff like that before, so I wasn't sure if you were serious.
He said it, not me.
Obviously not nearly as ridiculous, but like, can you wrap my rims? I guess. You want your windshield wrap too, you know? Tire maybe?
Wrapped tires, I heard that's a new trend. Thank you so much, man.
Definitely.
I appreciate it.
Glad I could help, guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I appreciate it.
We've learned a lot.
Good. Feel free to contact me whenever, all right?
All right, awesome.
Thank you.
Have a good one. How we feeling? You feeling better about this or what? Let's do it. Let's go. Come on. All right. Well, let's try to finish what he started, and then we'll go from there.
So after our much needed wrapping class and ordering everything that Nick suggested, we slowly started working on wrapping the car. But I will say we didn't end up using the primer that he recommended to us, just for the simple fact that this car is going to be temporarily wrapped maybe for 6 months before we decide to repaint the entire thing. And I just wanted to make the process of taking the wrap off easier. But if you're planning on keeping your car wrapped one color for a while, it's definitely a must, because there are some instances where it could have helped us a lot. Now, don't get me wrong, we still had to redo some panels multiple times, and if you look really closely, there's a ton of mistakes on this car, especially when we were near the end on the front bumper, because we were pretty rough. But thanks to Nick and Equip Graphic Solutions, this went from something that was literally impossible for us to do to something that felt like it was within our reach, even if it did look a little rough. So after some long, frustrating nights and slowly learning how to wrap, we finally got the car completely done, actually, as it is how I'm sitting in it right now. So enough talking, it is time to reveal Smokey's new look. And I know it's a little rough, but I think it is still a million times better than how it looked before. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments below.
It's officially time to reveal Smokey. It's actually sitting right here behind the camera. It looks pretty good. Now, our look is, what would you say, like 90% done? 95?
I would say 90, yeah.
90. We're missing a few things aside from just the engine. Have a few little like yellow spots you can see here and there where we messed up the wrap. At the end of the day, when we fly by somebody at 150 miles an hour, I don't think it's gonna matter, because as long as that wrap doesn't start literally peeling off, I think we're good. What are you thinking about this thing?
From afar, dude, it looks perfect.
Thanks. I want to get your thoughts on this.
What are you thinking?
It looks good. It looks super good.
Start like tearing up, like crying.
I just actually can't believe it, dude.
Your turn. Give us some emotion.
It's just, dude, the time and the money it took to get to this point.
I'm gonna put this as like the intro to the video.
I can't find a rhyme in all my reason. Lost sense of time and all seasons. Feel I've been beaten down by the words of men who have no ground. Can't sleep beneath the trees of wisdom when your axe is cut the root that feed them.
Now let's point out the elephant in the room before we go much further, and that is all the places there's clearly some mess ups on this, because there's a lot of them. Mainly this front bumper right here looks awful. The wrap is all wrinkled. That's probably the worst part of the entire car. The hood isn't attached, and obviously you can see some yellow in some of these gaps here and there, and that's just because we haven't done all the touch-ups yet necessarily. There's a lot of small stuff. There's some bubbles in some places, but hey, from 20 feet away, it looks pretty sick. I don't even think they can fathom this next update for this Corvette.
No, I was just thinking about that. I'm like,
They have no idea.
No.
I'll give you guys one hint, and I'll tell you, we had to make a trip somewhere for something for this car, and we spent $21,000. So use your imagination and think about what that could mean. But we got some crazy stuff sitting in the garage right now. That being said, this is the new look of the Corvette. We're going broke. Please help. See you guys in the next one.